I'm going to react to a recent conversation with Dr. Sanjay Gupta from CNN on Joe Rogan's podcast. I'll focus only on the communication that's happening in the room and the power dynamics between them. Rogan believes that CNN lied about him and he was personally defamed. From an educational standpoint, this is what it looks like when two people argue when one of them says they have been wronged and has verifiable facts, and the other person is put in a difficult position. At the end, I'll score this like boxing. A score of 10-9 means it was a close round, but the winner of that round gets 10 points, the loser gets 9. If there's a knockdown, then it's a 10-8 round. More than one knockdown, 10-7. If the guy doesn't get back up, then the fight is over. Maybe you will agree with my score, or maybe not. We'll pick it up where Rogan says CNN claimed inaccurately that he took horse dewormer to treat COVID.
Vaccinated on top of that.
By the way, I'm glad you're better. I'm glad it only lasted a day.
You're probably the only one at CNN that's glad.
No. We're not.
The rest of them are all lying about me taking horse medication. And we should talk about that.
That bothered you.
It should bother you, too. They're lying at your network about people taking human drugs versus drugs for veterinary.
Calling it a horse dewormer is not a flattering thing. I get that.
It's a lie. It's a lie on a news network. And it's a lie that's a willing... That's a lie that they're conscious of. It's not a mistake.
Yeah.
They're unfavorably framing it as veterinary medicine.
Well,
Rogan starts in a lighthearted mood. This signals that he's willing to have an equal exchange. In conversations, we call this a symmetrical exchange. He's sending one across messages. You can either be in the dominant, submissive, or equal positions in a conversation like this. In most everyday conversations, people typically settle into an equal or symmetrical exchange. Rogan is not making any decisive power moves at the start. He's just sparring lightly and sticking out his jab. It gets more serious when he says the rest of them at CNN lied about me. This puts Gupta in a tough spot in terms of the old workplace politics. This is where he makes his first misstep. He responds as if he's Joe Rogan's therapist. He says, "That bothered you." As if he's responding to the end of Rogan's statement, "We should talk about that." With this comment, Gupta attempts to rotate the symmetrical or equal exchange to position himself in a dominant role. We call this a one-up move. Gupta's statement casts himself as the empathetic therapist and tries to cast Rogan in the role of patient, a submissive role. Rogan didn't appreciate that, and he snaps back, "It should bother you, too." Rogan threw a hard jab and made first contact. That phrase, "that bothered you," that Gupta introduced becomes a conversational resource that Rogan is going to leverage. Rogan states directly that CNN's horse dewormer claim is a lie. Gupta tries to slip this punch, too. He says it's not a flattering thing. He's attempting to reduce the offensiveness of what CNN did. That's a strategy from the area of research called image restoration. He's attempting to reduce the degree of negative feelings experienced by the audience. But Rogan does not need to meet Gupta in the middle and compromise and agree that it was merely unflattering. From his standpoint, Rogan is standing on the truth. He reiterates that it was a deliberate lie. But I am still not seeing a knockdown punch.
Unfavorably framing it as veterinary medicine.
Well, the FDA put this thing out. You saw that. Did you see that thing that the FDA put out?
What did the FDA put out?
It was a tweet, and it was snarky. I admit it. They said, "You are not a horse, you are not a cow, stop taking this stuff," or something like that.
Why would you say that when you're talking about a drug that's been given out to billions and billions of people, a drug that was responsible for one of the inventors of it winning the Nobel Prize in 2015?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, a drug that has been shown to stop viral replication in vitro. You know that, right? Why would they lie and say that's horse dewormer? I can afford people medicine, mother. This is ridiculous. It's just a lie.
I don't think anyone is
But don't you think that a lie like that is dangerous on a news network when you know that they know they're lying? You know that they know that I took medicine. Like, here it is. This is ivermectin.
You got
this
it with
right
you.
Here. Somebody gave it to me.
All right, hang on. The thing is, we're like going so fast. Like I feel like I'm missing.
Do you think that's a problem that your news network lies?
Well, I don't.
Dude.
What did they say?
They lied
What did
and
they
said
say?
I was taking horse dewormer. First of all, it was prescribed to me by a doctor.
Yeah.
Along
They
with
shouldn't have said
a
it was horse.
bunch of other
If it was-
medications.
if you got a human pill, because there were people that were taking it, the veterinary medication, and you're not, obviously. You got it from a doctor, so that it shouldn't be called that. Ivermectin can be a very effective medication for parasitic disease, and as you say, it's probably, I think what, 250 million people have taken it around the world.
more,
I get that.
way more.
So
Way
but
more. Billions of people have taken it.
Can I just come back to the one I want to talk about? Two
No.
things on
You
the
have
ledger.
you have before we get to that. Does it bother you that the news network you work for out and out lied, just outright lied about me taking horse dewormer?
They shouldn't have said that.
Why did they do?
Gupta tries here another image restoration strategy. He tries to shift the blame to the FDA. He is saying, in effect, another person or organization is responsible for the harm. The FDA said that first. Rogan doesn't let him get away with it. He makes his full case for the legitimacy of the drug he took. He's throwing punches in bunches with facts and statistics. To his credit, Gupta isn't arguing with the facts. He is trying to conversationally come alongside Rogan on the point that the drug really is for humans. But Rogan wants Gupta to acknowledge that CNN lied. Rogan is now fully tilting the power dynamics by using a series of one-up moves, pressing him with pointed questions, an assertive tone, a relentless pace, and piercing eye contact. The conversation is now completely asymmetrical. Gupta could have attempted to match Rogan's dominance and intensity with a shouting match, but ultimately, Rogan has the facts on his side, and Gupta knows it. There's no place for him to go in this conversation except into the submissive position. He begins losing his conversational agility, his utterances get jumbled, he's laughing nervously. Rogan then asks clearly, "Do you think it's a problem that your news network lies, dude?" As a spokesperson for CNN, Rogan wants Gupta to answer for this sin and repent, and answer for that condescending reply that Gupta introduced earlier. That bothered you. Rogan here is still flipping that back on Gupta. Rogan really emphasizes the word dude at one point. Gupta is a neurosurgeon, a professor of medicine. He's probably not used to being called dude. With this question worded and delivered in this way, Rogan lands that big right hook. Gupta clarifies the issue and admits in a couple of different ways CNN should not have said it was a horse dewormer. But is this a knockout or just a knockdown? You may notice there's an important aspect of the question that Gupta didn't answer. Let's look at what happens next.
Why did they do that?
I don't know.
You didn't ask? You didn't think that was you're the medical guy over there.
I didn't ask. I should have asked before
But they
coming
did
on
it
your
with
podcast.
such glee.
No,
Yes,
Joe.
they did. I watched. I
You
watched.
watched?
I watched.
You watched? No, I don't think there's
Yes,
glee.
they did.
I don't. No one takes.
Joe Rogan says he has
she's taking-
COVID, taking livestock drug despite warnings. Yeah.
Jamie had to pull this up.
You want
huh?
to play it?
Does she? Does she
This
have
is your
glee?
news network.
I'm gonna watch.
Let's see.
I'm gonna watch.
Rogan telling his 13 million Instagram followers that he was treated with several drugs, and he included ivermectin on the list, a drug used for livestock that the FDA and the CDC warn against using to treat COVID.
Turns out I got COVID.
Look at they put a
So
yellow
we
filter on
immediately
me
threw
too.
the kitchen sink at it. All
They
kinds
did.
of meds, monoclonal
You see the original
antibodies,
video versus that? I look like there.
Z-Pack,
Do you know that?
I think you look good.
Pause. Pause. It's enough.
Prednisone.
I don't
That's
think.
enough, Jamie.
I don't
But-
think Aaron had glee.
Oh, well, it's more Brian Stelter was the gleeful one. But the point is, that's a lie.
It can be used for humans. I get it. I totally.
Not just could be used for humans, is often used for humans along with all the other drugs I took, all human drugs.
Yes.
They know it's a human drug,
It's right. But
and they lied.
the thing.
It's defamatory.
It is. Yeah, they shouldn't have done that.
It's defamatory, right?
Well, I don't know if it's defamatory.
I bet it is.
Well, I'm not a lawyer.
It's
But-
a lie.
Well, see, here's the thing. You can have nuanced discussions about this,
No,
right?
you can't.
Yeah, you
You
can.
can't have nuanced discussions about lying about someone taking horseshoe
There
worm.
was no glee, by the way, from her. She
Wow,
was.
I
I don't think
didn't watch her.
anyone takes people's illness.
Oh, yes, they do.
They don't want you to get
stop it.
sick, Joe.
Yeah.
Gupta took that big knockdown punch in the previous segment, but he gets back to his feet here because Joe Rogan changed his question very slightly from, do you think that it's a problem that CNN lied, to why did CNN lie? And that gives Gupta the wiggle room he needs to say, I don't know. His best answer yet. He is essentially letting himself off the hook. If the question is now, why did they say it? Gupta can't speak for other people. And Rogan, I believe, loosens up here deliberately. By this point, Rogan got just about everything he wanted. CNN's chief medical correspondent admitted that CNN got it wrong. They keep going, but this is a good stopping point because, relatively speaking, you can feel the intensity of the conversation go up and down and gradually return to a symmetrical pattern between equals. They sound more lighthearted again. I believe I even sensed a renewed respect for Gupta, that he was willing to disagree with CNN. I think Rogan said, like a boxer here, you felt my power, good enough. They're still sparring, and Gupta even achieved some symbolic counter punches here. The specific CNN segment Rogan showed didn't really demonstrate any glee. He diffused things a little more when he said, I'm not a lawyer. Gupta looks and sounds, by the end, that he's got some of his confidence back, and Rogan lets him finish the round. So let's go to the scorecard. I'm going to score this round 10-8. Rogan knocked him down and clearly won the round. There's no question. But did he knock Gupta out? No, but I don't think he wanted to knock him out. Gupta admitted that CNN was wrong, and that's the victory. I give Rogan credit for not grinding Gupta into a pulp when he could have. For Gupta's part, I respect the effort. He showed up on the podcast. He admitted CNN shouldn't have said what they said. But I'm scoring it 10-8 and not 10-7 because, first, he never used Rogan's phrase, they lied. He just said they shouldn't have said that. CNN might not like that, but that was good enough for Rogan. And second, he got up. He outlasted the much more humiliating questions. How does it feel to work for liars? Does that bother you that you work for liars? That was Gupta's own phrase that Rogan was using to punish him. But if you look back, he never answered that aspect of the question. He was smart enough to see that that would have been a total catastrophe. And instead, he lived to fight another day. My takeaway lesson for our own conversations is that it's best to be in a conversation that's an equal back and forth exchange. Don't go looking for power struggles. But if you are standing on the verifiable truth in a debate, there's no reason to compromise and meet people in the middle. How would you score the round? Was it a knockdown or a knockout? I'm not going to debate you, but feel free to comment below. And as usual, I'm not going to get into the political side of all of this. Also, let me know who else I should react to. God bless, and I will see you in the next video.